Imagine I'm in a classroom, it's North Dakota, it's February, about 6 years ago, it is frigidly cold outside. And despite the freezing temperatures, rays of light are shining through the foggy windows, and they hit something in the back of the room that earns my attention. I approach, and it's this beautiful little piece of art with a silver frame. And on it, it says, "I am still learning." So this moment in and of itself is beautiful, made all the more so given that this was the last classroom my mother had taught in, and I had just attended her funeral. So I grabbed the piece of art, and it hangs in our house, mine and Linesia's, and it's a reminder that education for me, at least part of, just this, if I can find a soul in there somewhere, it's intricately connected to, intrinsically connected to education. And so with that in mind, what I want you to know is every opportunity I have like this, where I'm in front of a group of people, I want you to know that I'm feeling it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not up here trying to regurgitate information to you. I know that we learn through, like, you know what I mean? It's a little bit of energy behind it. And so that's what I hope to bring to every speech, and I hope you feel that along with me. Now, what that means is that I love giving away the secret sauce. 200 years ago, if you were into something that was really obscure and out there and weird, you were just kind of the weirdo in your community, and that was kind of the end of that. Now, because you have, I don't know, how many English speakers are there? Billions of folks that you can get in front of, those weird, quirky ideas can actually become profitable. We find ourselves in this funky transition now more than ever, where half of our life is personal and then there's kind of business, but these two worlds they're intersecting. For example, I wake up most days and my office is 4 feet that way, right? My wife also works at home. There's a lot of people that do Uber, for example, or there's this company, textbroker.com, where you can write an article in your spare time and make $6-7. Right? So the 9-to-5 paradigm is kind of feeling a little bit shakier than it used to be. And so I want to give you tips and tricks on how you can enjoy the things in your personal life and have them reflect in the business world. Now, besides my awesome haircut, that's my daughter, my beautiful, wonderful daughter, Annika. And this picture brings something to mind. What I want you to take away, if you take away nothing else from this speech, is that all of the tricky, difficult, nuanced, technical aspects that you might associate with, say, AdWords or Facebook ads or SEO or creating a WordPress website or blah, 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 all that stuff is child's play. Because you are, and I'm not kidding, excellent advertisers. It is an innate human quality. And to that effect, let me read from section 1 of the book. Everybody's doing it. A baby's cry in the night must be addressed. You'll know what phase of life I was in when I wrote this. It sounds painful and is designed to annoy. Babies have few options when it comes to getting your attention, and crying happens to be the most effective. Babies refuse to be ignored, and their cry is as irritating as it is essential. Crying is our first advertisement. Everybody does it. Everybody advertises. Whether the baby needs food, a new diaper, is sick, or simply wants to be held, the advertisement is effectively the same. We cry for what we want and need until our final day. The manner in which we advertise changes over time, but the need to do so remains constant. Take a moment and ask yourself, how do you cry in your life? How are others crying out, and is it working? My children's manner of advertising their needs went from crying to simple sentences. Want some, like it, please. We reinforce the last one, which is our parental way of advertising what we expect from them, politeness, and to join the rest of us in civilized society after the inevitable and hopefully brief adolescent hiccups. Consider this. Crying turns into time at the refrigerator if they're hungry. They may rub their eyes when they are tired or hold out their arms if they want to be held. Their advertisements change because they realize how ineffective the old ads were. In other words, crying is a great way to get attention, but not always at converting into a sale. In this analogy, at a certain point, mom and dad, or your customers, get sick of the same tactic of crying and want you to cut to the chase. That is to say, you too must adapt your marketing as your company grows. And so what I want you to think about today is this opportunity you have to take whatever vision you have of a business and get the ball rolling now. Because if it were, I don't know, the dawn of the internet, and you had purchased every ABC123643.com, how much money would you have now? That's right. You would be loaded. And everyone seems to, as humans, we tend to think of like, oh, I missed the opportunity, shoot, right? The opportunity is now. It's always now. There's always an opportunity to strike here. To make a real estate metaphor, here's your ESPN.com. Here's BuzzFeed, right? But this took a long time to build this web asset. This is where most of us find ourselves, especially with new ventures. It's just an idea. And so, if you're like me, you don't know what you're doing. And you definitely don't know what you're doing 5-10 years from now. And so this is KellenKautzman.com as it stands today, and it's an avenue through which I get engagements like this. Right? Hey, Kellen, at the M Resort, here's this XYZ thing. So now it's a public speaking avenue. But 6 years ago, it looked like this. This reads, what do numb fingers and Google rankings have in common? So I was playing in the SEO space. It also says, behind every successful man is a surprised mother-in-law, which I still think is funny. Still think that's funny. And so if you don't have an idea, if it's not deluxehugs.com or Parakeet Paradise 123 at whatever, it can be your name and just your name, because that can change as you navigate through your life and you go through the different phases, but at least you're not going to get Zuckerberged. Those of you that own a business know that even if you create a yourname.com and it's an abysmal failure, you can write off a bunch of stuff on your taxes. So there's a benefit there. On to some secret sauce for my business owners. Now, if you're thinking of entrepreneurial stuff, this still applies. This is just a little bit higher level. Life is short, so are my legs. This went on Pinterest, and it was repinned 14,100 times. And a lot of business owners get this sense of like, yeah, but that doesn't make the phone ring, Kellen. And I go, okay, hold up a second. Google has an artificial intelligence that measures links. So if we get 14,100 links from Pinterest, what it does is it spikes your Google rankings. So whatever it is that you're about, whatever your website is, this will get you to rank. So starting to think about viral images is part of the secret sauce. In fact, there's something called Google Search Console where you can measure those links. It's a little bit more advanced, but there you go. If you think that it's only warm, fuzzy dogs that'll get you there, This is a client of ours, Tim Parsons with Parsons Rocks. This is the most mundane picture of patios I've ever seen in my life. Repinned 2,100 times. This cat was one of the founders of Google. His name's Larry Page. He was so lucky that his last name was Page because he came up with something called PageRank, and it basically said, look, this sucks. Websites that just keyword stuff the same word over and over and over again, nobody wants to read it, no one's interested in it. So instead, Page said, look, if this website links back to me, that's a vote. If this website is powerful, it's worth more. And that is why Jeeves is still single and why we don't Alta Vista and Lycos things. Okay, so I just got back from this conference in Boston, inbound, and I learned a lot about artificial intelligence, and I want to walk you through kind of the world we live in now. And it starts with this insanity. I thought artificial intelligence in 2017 was a coder saying, oh, okay, instead of having the computer do this, I'm going to have him do that in this instance. That's not what's happening. What's happening is Google's DeepMind, for example, is saying, hey, Google, or hey, AI, I want you to get the highest score. That's what it's saying. It's saying, here's the goal. And then 60 minutes later, it doubles its score. And then 60 minutes later, it doubles its score. And then 4, 5, 6 hours in, it's almost mastered the game. So AI as it stands in 2017 isn't let's tweak the programming, it's let's give this mind a goal and see what it can do with it. How does this apply to our lives? So we're gonna play a little game. Dun, 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 confetti cannons, fog machine. Artificial intelligence or human? I'm going to read a passage, and you're going to tell me if an AI wrote this, by show of hands after we complete this, or if a human wrote it. Tuesday was a great day for W. Roberts as the junior pitcher threw a perfect game to carry Virginia to a 2-0 victory over George Washington at Davenport Field. Who thinks this is AI that wrote it? Who thinks it was human? AI. Incredible stuff. Let's try one more. Kitty couldn't fall asleep for a long time. Her nerves were strained as two tight strings, and even a glass of hot wine that Vronsky made her drink did not help her. Lying in bed, she kept going over and over that monstrous scene at the meadow. AI? Human. Also AI. Last but not least, meet people from various organizations that gather around a mutual interest. Be bold. Find ways to enter into these spaces and tailor your message to meet their needs. AI? Human. Nasia's looking at me. Yeah, I wrote that. It's in the book. I resent all of this. So here's this crazy thing. I was chatting with a couple of folks about this prior to the speech, is YouTube understands every word I'm saying right now. It's crazy. So that camera's on. I've got a little Pel mic on. So you could basically just envision the words streaming by me as I'm saying them. Because when we log into YouTube and you click on this little subtitles button, the captions are already done. They're done, and they're 99% accurate, which is insane. So whatever that vision you have is, you don't have to spend your time blogging anymore. You don't really. If you can talk in front of the camera, that's content, and it's just as good as a blog. It's good to incorporate the two, whatever, but you get the point. Amazing. The only word that it gets wrong consistently is send it rising, which it thinks is tenderizing. Tenderizing. Last bit of advice for the business owners. You're all familiar with this really annoying YouTube advertising thing that happens? So this little skip ad button shows up for 6 seconds. And in that 6 seconds, the user can't do anything. And so it's a horrible mistake to misuse those 6 seconds. So if you want to push something forward cheaply, and I'll show you just how cheap this is, you have 6 seconds. So people of the world, Kellen Kautzman, Send It Rising Internet Marketing website, right? They see that no matter what. Check this out. $200, 30,000 impressions in Las Vegas. So that means 30,000 people watched at least that first 6 seconds. And the crazy part is you don't pay until you get to 30 seconds. And then you pay a whopping 3 cents. Outrageous. This won't last. If you're interested in shooting something forward, this is a great way to get the word out there. On to the book. A good friend of mine gave me this advice. She said, write it in a season. If you're like me and you have like 60 or 70 pages of something, drives me crazy not to finish it, right? It's an itch I can't scratch. So having that initial 60, 70 pages was enough for me to tip, right? And go through all of the nauseatingly difficult items required to get a book out. And so write it in a season is actually really good advice, right? So we're going into a new season, so if you want to start a book. This is a moment that some parents may be familiar with, or if you have an active imagination, you can too. This is the moment where like the kids are in bed and you're slowly closing the door. Oh, thank God. In this moment in my life, all I wanted to do was, king-size Tempur-Pedic mattress. You better believe all I wanted to do was Netflix and chill out. But I'd read this great book called The Power of Habit, where they talk about the basal ganglia, which is a terrible name for it, but it's this walnut-shaped part of your mind that's in charge of habits. And so I tricked myself. Instead of going and laying down in bed, I got myself some tea, some chamomile tea. I like to refer to it as Cham Cham. So I would swing on, get my Cham Cham, whatever, roll over, back in front of the computer. See what I'm saying? So the T was the trigger to get back in front of the computer. The T never meant go to bed. It meant always get back in front of the computer. And I did that for long enough, it was like a year and change, in order to crank the book out. I told you we'd be talking about my brother. I don't expect you to read every word of this, but suffice it to say that the dude is ridiculously intelligent, off the charts, and his writing ability is insane. This doesn't even include the 3 books he's written. And so I thought to myself, if anyone's going to edit this book, it should be Kevin, because he's amazing, right? The only problem with that is that I asked my brother to edit my book. He gave me very subtle comments on the Word document. He put them in all red and all caps, and I'd like to share a few of them with you today. Things my brother, my editor, told me during the writing of Everybody's Doing It. Is it a complete thought? I'm sorry, I love incomplete thoughts. My bad. Let me complete this real quick and then not make it a cliche. Okay, no problem. Got it. Shoot, I am prone to flaccid quotes. I know that about myself. I should have known better. Should have had a non-flaccid quote. My bad. That's fair. That's fair, because this chapter is terrible. It's awful. It's unsavable. And so here's the thing. I like to believe that this book is actually good. I don't need it to be great. It's a good book, because every time anyone even said anything remotely close to, what about, cut it. Kellen, did you think maybe cut it? Hey, cut it. We just cut it, right? That's how you get to a good book. And we absolutely did that over and over and over again. Okay, so we're wrapping up. Audiobooks. If you absolutely hate yourself, let me suggest that you record and edit your own audiobook. Because the sound of your own voice, my friends, it's just angels. There's a choir of angels, the sound of your own voice, for a month and a half alone in your room. So it's really, really rough. This is where I thought I would be. So this is a legit studio. This is where I did it, right? Skype's going off, phones ringing, kids are crying, stuff's going on, right? But magically, by some, God knows how or why, when we released it, the book was the #1 new release on Amazon.com in the SEO category. Yay! So that was amazing. So Malcolm Gladwell, some of you will be familiar with him, The Tipping Point. He makes this great analogy where he says, look, at 100 degrees, rain looks like this. At 50 degrees, it looks like this. At 35 degrees, it might be a little sleety, but it basically looks like this. At 32 degrees, it's the tipping point. And these dramatic changes that occur, but we don't see this huge variance leading up to it. And so my goal is to have the book tip. I would love that. That would be amazing. I mean, that's in part why you're all sitting here, is because I believe in education. That's what the book is, and I need help, and I need a lot of it. And so to make this thing tip, it requires you. Here's a couple strategies to help it tip. Read it. It's a good start. Amazon reviews are really, really hard to get. Trust me, if you write one for me, Lanesia and I will be like all excited. You won't see that moment, right? But we are. Post on Facebook, tweeting, sharing on LinkedIn. The audiobook, I'm told, is going to be live today or tomorrow or soon. You can leave reviews there. That's a big deal. I do a weekly YouTube video. I put a ton of work into that. It's a lot of work. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, that'd be amazing. And then talk about the book, obviously, as you go out and about. Last, wrapping up, this is a picture of my goofy mom, right? Just being silly. And I love that, right? I love that energy. That's what we're about. The mission is to teach folks how to prosper using the internet, from now, for the next, decades, rest of my life. And so that's the mission. If that's something you feel like you can get behind, then you can definitely get behind the book. And I'm absolutely honored to have you all here. It's been a sincere pleasure. I love you all. I'm proud of you. Thank you very much.